So I'm talking to this brother several months ago, right? And he calls me up and he's just saying, he's like, "Soul, man, like I don't know what's going on with my life, you know?" So we're sitting there chopping it up, and he's telling me about his job in which he was winning. He's telling me about his health and fitness. The brother was in tip-top shape in the gym pretty much every day. And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of why the brother feels like he's just vibrating so low. So he continues to tell me about the type of women he interacts with. He says they're kind of iffy. They're somewhat flaky. He tells me about his job. His job is it's okay. He's pretty happy there. And I'm continuing to listen. And then the brother starts telling me about, the good relationship that him and his father has. And then he says, "Yeah, I'm getting over this hub addiction and I don't drink as much." And I'm like, ho. Let's back up a second. I said a hub addiction, right? I said, eureka, we found it. So today, brothers, I want to talk about the hidden power in your hub addiction and what you should do instead of taking matters in your own hands. At ease. It's your boy Soul Immortal. Brothers, an addiction to the hub is more common than you think. Some take the occasional stroll to the hub. Some watch the hub with their significant other in an attempt to spice things up. And some are purely addicted. But regardless of how often you frequent the hub, the important thing is to know what's taking place, right? See, society tells you that this issue that you have is a bad thing. But this issue is not a bad thing. It's simply a case of energy being misunderstood. But you have to understand that there are two things taking place, right? The first thing is you have to understand that you're vibrating on the lowest of levels, one. And two, you also have to understand that you're sitting on a gold mine. See, like I discussed in my masterclass, the recipe guys, we are filled with creative energy, right? Now, what we choose to do with that energy is on us. What we choose to do with that energy, it all depends on what we're going to vibrate at, right? That same energy that's used to create a whole nother life, to create a whole nother human, right? Is that same energy that's going to create a 6 or 7 figure business, right? But the thing is instinctively, we know how to act in our animal state. Instinctively, we know how to operate in our lowest level. The thing is, most guys never come out of that. Most guys never elevate to a higher level of consciousness, right? So what you're seeing is guys still operating on a low level, but they still have this creative energy coming in. And we're all familiar with the law of conservation, right? The energy is neither created or destroyed. It's only transferred or transformed. So what we're seeing in the form of an addiction is simply the movement of energy, right? What we're seeing is man on his lowest vibration doing exactly what he was sent here to do, and that's create. In this case, it's simply the simulation of creation, right? Over and over. Now, the law of conservation clearly tells us how to get a better benefit out of this energy. It says that we can, 1, transfer this energy, or 2, transform this energy. Now, transferring this energy is simply taking that physical energy and transferring it to something like going to the gym and getting fit, or going back to school and get a degree, or feeding the homeless every few days. That's transferring the energy. That's a much better use of that energy. But now when we talk about building kingdoms, right, we're talking about transforming that energy. And in the past, you've heard me call this transmuting this energy. Now, the difference between the two is when you're transferring energy, you're taking energy from the physical to the physical, right? But when you're transforming or transmuting energy, you're taking the same creative ability, the same energy, right? And you're transforming it over to the spiritual world, because that's where kingdoms are built. Now, brothers, I'm going to pause right here to say a few things, right? So I've made probably, I don't know, anywhere between 50 and 80 YouTube videos total. And I'm guessing, right? And I've talked about a variety of things, right? Some stuff I got right off the bat. Some stuff I can look back and I can see where I had to evolve and I had to mature and I had to get over some past events, right? But when it comes to this, when it comes to creation, when it comes to manifestation, right? Brothers, I will challenge anybody on God's green earth on this. This is something where if I don't know anything, this is the thing. If you only listen to me in one area, this is something that I challenge anybody on, right? And the thing is this, guys. The reason why you'll forever see, these Instagram models with, barely any clothes on. The reason you'll still see, sexuality still promoted highly on regular TV. The reason that the hub still exists is because the system is always making an effort to keep man vibrating on its lowest of levels. You know what I'm saying? But because when a man can come out of that, when a man is fully aware of who he is, when a man is fully aware of what that creative energy is and knows what to do with it, brother, I'm telling you, he's a force to be reckoned with. So imagine if a whole legion of men got this knowledge. Imagine if a whole legion of men began conducting themselves, in the proper way. You know what I'm saying? Brother, this world will be flipped upside down overnight. So I'm telling you this stuff that if I don't know anything else, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, right? So you ask the question, okay, you know what? If I can transform this energy, how do I do it? Now, of course, in the recipe, I went in depth. But brother, I'll tell you how you do it, right? To take things from the physical and send it to the spiritual, to get it back, to come back, to manifest back to you, is simple. It's just a matter of taking your thoughts. It's a matter of taking your ideas. But then it's a matter of adding emotion to it. In other words, in your prayers and in your meditation, you can think about this stuff all day, guys. And the thing is, that's what a lot of people are doing when they go pray. People are praying for 100 years and getting no result. The thing is, brother, you have to add emotion to your thoughts and your prayers. Why is this? Because emotion is that life force. Emotion is what gives life to those thoughts. So back to the brother that I was talking about at the very beginning of this video. Him and I had this exact same conversation. And I'll tell you exactly what happened. Within 48 hours, this brother called me up, right? Now, when he called, I had no idea who it was because I couldn't recognize the brother's voice. This brother was a completely different person from killing that bad activity, right? This brother's voice was initially, a guy of doubt. He talked low, like he didn't know what was going on. And when he called me this second time, he spoke with pride. He spoke like a man that not only knew his purpose, but knew what he was capable of, right? So that initially shocked me, right? And then he just started telling me, he said, man, I went into my job and he said, man, my boss was interacting with me, man, in a crazy way, like he had almost lost it. And then the brother said, when I went to the gym, he said, man, women are approaching me, sparking conversation, trying to, I said, brother, it's because your energy has changed. No longer are you just throwing your energy in the wind. Now you're aware that you can create the life you want. All these thoughts that you've always had in your mind that you want out of life, now that energy can be transformed and you can manifest these things. Now I can easily say that this brother went from being a client to a confidant. And the reason I say that is because, as that brother, continued to evolve into who he was meant to be, as that brother continued to find self, our conversations went from me, trying to show him a few things to more of an iron sharpening iron type conversation. As this brother evolved, he began to turn me on to things that I had no clue about. So those conversations begin to be more of a equal, give and take. And that's how we as men need to operate. That's how we're supposed to move. Iron sharpening iron, growing from each other. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, guys, we need to stop vibrating on a low level and taking matters in our own hands, right? What we need to do is learn to transform our energy, start conducting ourselves as the kings that we are, and let's start becoming the Mansa Musas of the world. At ease! So one of the things that I started to realize as I began to walk this path was, I was asking myself, well, if I'm tied or if I come from a source that's always existed and can never die, then where was I at before I became into consciousness here on this planet? When it comes to man and creation, I don't think the problem is man knowing how to create. I think the problem is man knowing where to create. I think there's one thing that the majority of us can agree on. Regardless of our religion, regardless of our beliefs, our upbringings, I think that we can pretty much all agree that at the time that we die, that our souls or our spirits are going to return to the place from which it came, right? So I made a post on Instagram and I said, meditation is the cousin of sleep. Sleep is the sister of death. And death is the highest level of consciousness. Now, if this is true, then what does it say about the place that we'll be returning to one day? It says that we're still there. If that's going to be our highest level of consciousness, that must mean that we're still there. Now, to illustrate this a little better, picture a man in his bed sleep, right? Now, he may toss, he may turn, but we're not going to consider that man to be, fully aware until he wakes up, right? Now, the moment he wakes up out of his sleep, we consider that man to be fully conscious of his surroundings, fully conscious of who he is. Now, that's the same thing that's happening in this life, except that death is actually the opening of the eyes.